I had been dating Samantha for about 2 years when I decided to help her out with something that had been weighing on her for a while: her student loans. She had around $18,000 in debt, and I could tell it stressed her out constantly. It kept her up at night, and she was overwhelmed by the whole situation. I really cared for her and wanted to help, so I made the decision to pay off her debt. I used her loan details, which I had access to because she'd once asked me to check her statements. A week later, I secretly paid off her loans, printed the confirmation, and presented it to her as a gift. When she opened it, she was emotional, crying and hugging me, saying no one had ever done something so kind for her. She told me I was the man she wanted to grow old with, and in that moment, I felt like I had made the right choice. But things took a strange turn a couple of days later, when we were at brunch with her family. We were sitting with her mom, dad, and her younger sister Chloe, who's 24 and still in nursing school. Over mimosas, Samantha casually mentioned that maybe I could help Chloe with her student debt too, suggesting it like it was a given. I honestly thought she was joking at first, but when I saw her serious expression, and Chloe chimed in eagerly, I started to feel like I was in some kind of bad dream. Samantha said that if I loved her, I should care about her family's burdens, and that it would make sense for me to help Chloe out too. Chloe even said, "We're practically family, so why not?" I was stunned and didn't know how to respond, so I just excused myself to the bathroom to cool down. I spent the next 10 minutes in there, trying to figure out if I was imagining this, or if this was actually happening. Later that evening, I tried to bring it up to Samantha calmly. I told her that while I loved her and was happy to help, her sister's debt wasn't my responsibility. I didn't feel comfortable with the expectation to pay it. That's when she lost it. She said I was selfish, and that families should lift each other up. She argued that if I was willing to help her, helping Chloe should be the natural next step. I reminded her that I had already paid off her debt, and that was a gift, not an obligation. Samantha then said something that caught me completely off guard. "If you won't help my sister, I need to reconsider this relationship. I can't be with someone who's only generous when it benefits them." I was absolutely floored by her reaction. I had just done something incredibly generous for her, and this was how she responded. It really hurt. The next morning, I decided to reverse the payment. I logged back into her loan account, and luckily, the payment hadn't gone through yet. It was still pending. I contacted the loan servicer and explained the situation. I had been the account holder's fiancé, and had mistakenly made a payment. After some back and forth and identity verification, they agreed to reverse the payment before it was finalized, and I got every penny back. That evening, I told Samantha what had happened, and she completely lost it. She screamed, cried, and accused me of punishing her for asking for help. She called me manipulative, saying she couldn't believe I would dangle her future over her head like that. I just sat there calm and quiet and said, "You told me that if I didn't pay for your sister, you'd reevaluate our relationship, so I'm saving you the trouble." Then I left. The next day, she tried calling and texted me about 30 times, saying she didn't mean what she'd said, that she was just testing my commitment to her, even throwing in that we were soulmates. Honestly, that moment of entitlement, expecting me to drop thousands of dollars or else, was a deal breaker. I didn't know her sister anything, and I didn't know her anything either, but I gave because I loved her. When love is twisted into a financial obligation, that's when you realize you've dodged a bullet. To top it all off, a week later, Chloe posted a TikTok about how broke men are intimidated by educated women, and I just knew it was about me. Sometimes the most expensive lessons are the ones that never really sink in. For anyone considering financially rescuing their partner, make sure they see you as a person, not just a wallet. After that TikTok went up, a few friends sent it to me with laughing emojis. One even commented, "Bro, this is the girl who asked you to pay her sister's debt, right?" I didn't respond, just shook my head. But then the plot thickened. About a week later, I received a message from Chloe. She started with, "Hey, I just want to say I didn't mean to come off as entitled. I was just caught off guard and thought maybe it was a nice gesture, you know." Then she added, "Also, you were really good to my sister. She didn't deserve that." I thought, Okay, that's weird. Maybe she feels guilty. But it got stranger. Chloe started flirting, sending me a voice note saying how real men are rare. And if Samantha couldn't appreciate what I did for her, maybe she wasn't the one. I was halfway between laughing and cringing. This girl seriously watched me get guilt-tripped over her sister's debt, and now tried to slide in after her sister crashed and burned. I didn't respond, and just left her on read. A couple of weeks passed. I was still single, enjoying the peace of not being emotionally manipulated into co-signing someone's life, and having dinner with a mutual friend, Jess. Jess is the type of person who always knows what's going on with everyone. She casually said, "So you know Samantha's telling everyone you manipulated her into breaking up with her, right?" I raised an eyebrow. "She's saying you promised to take care of her and her family, got her hopes up, and then pulled the rug out from under her when she didn't agree to your controlling behavior. She's painting you as this emotionally abusive guy who used money as a weapon." I just laughed, not because it was funny, but because it was so delusional. Luckily, most of our friends knew me well enough to know that wasn't true. One guy even said, "If I were him, I would have Venmo requested her afterward for wasting my time." But the real kicker came a few months later when Samantha messaged me again. She said she had been doing a lot of reflecting, and therapy had helped her realize how much she'd sabotaged something good. She apologized for how things ended, saying she now understood that asking for that money was out of line, but that she had felt pressured by her family to provide more, and thought I would understand. She ended with, "If there's any chance to meet for coffee and talk, I'd really love that, even if it's just for closure." I'll admit, part of me was tempted to meet her, not to get back together, but to hear what she'd say in person. But the smarter part of me said, "Nah, I already got all the closure I needed when that loan reversal cleared into my bank account." So, I replied with a polite message saying, "I appreciate the message. I hope you continue growing and healing, but I've moved on. Take care." She never responded, and that was the last time we spoke. The lesson from all this stuck with me. Love is not a transaction. Generosity isn't a currency to buy loyalty. The moment someone starts putting conditions on your kindness, that's not a relationship. It's a negotiation. And in this case, I declined the terms.